I think this is more of these past years more of an aberration. Is that my saying that
Aberration.
Right? Aberration, excuse me, rather than the real them.
How much is Crocodile Dundee worth? Aberration.
Aberration.
Oh, yeah, what's up, baby? It's free agency, and I'm still butchering the English language. You can promise that, and I will continue to do so today. Paulie Burmeister, he's in the fold today. Officially 50 years old, in the mix.
Yeah.
Birthday party good? Had a good time?
Small.
Yeah.
Really fun, though.
Good. Good
really
for
nice.
you. Good.
It was a great day. My wife was a star. She created a day with a lot of feel good to it. She had a bunch of my friends write in notes unbeknownst to me.
Right.
It was really a cool day.
All right, good.
Yeah.
You're 50, all right, so get over it. Let's move on with
exactly.
life, okay?
Right.
We got free agency to talk about.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about. And we had some teams that were some real movers and shakers on Monday.
Yeah.
Of course, nothing's official yet as far as signed contracts. But we know a lot of terms that are agreed on. Some teams stood out. I think there's a lot of different themes we're going to be able to hit on here through what happened the last 24, 48 hours across the news in the NFL. But we're here to break it down, and we're going to hit it on a little bit of everything here. And I'll try not to butcher the language altogether.
A couple times would be nice.
Crocodile Dundee was on TV, oddly enough, last night.
Did you watch it?
Oddly, I did. I like one of those movies where I got to pause and see where it's at, right? So he was he's back in New York there.
Yeah.
He's just meeting, I can't remember her name's boyfriend, who's a real New York, right? Yeah. He doesn't like him because he's like a man's man and from the, from the wild or whatever else. But that's a little tidbit there. But let's go. Let's dive right into it. I know we got a lot to talk about here.
This picture, is this not going to happen? I'm curious what picture you have of me.
OMG. Oh my gosh, look at that. You and Brett Bielema. Wow, Bielema looks good, man. Look at him.
I know, right?
His outfit's not good. First, the jorts are horrible, all right?
Horrendous. This is 1997, okay?
Right.
He's holding two chihuahuas, okay?
Right, and fitting. It seems like it's his kind of dog, right.
And we are in Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
You two in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Wow. Brett Bielema. Yeah, and you brought the Chihuahuas to Costa Rica? Or they were somebody else's Chihuahuas? Can you even remember what that was about?
Okay, we were on a cruise.
Right.
The Iowa football staff, Brett was a linebacker coach then. Everybody went on a cruise. Okay, everybody was married. They brought their spouse. Brett wasn't married. I was living with him. He's like, hey, you want to go on this cruise? I'm like, of course, sure. So we dock and we get out, and somehow that day we ended up in somebody's house with Chihuahuas. And there's a story to this that is not for the pod.
Okay. Or is it for the pod?
That's fine.
Okay, good.
Chihuahuas in Costa Rica.
We'll stop there. Okay, your neck still looks big. His quads and arms look pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not, they're Chihuahuas, all right. Yeah, well, you know what I just found out recently, just while we're on this real quick, okay? What's the dog that's like real in vogue? The small dog that like Lady Gaga just lost.
Yeah, they're like carried around in bags.
What the hell is that dog called?
Toy something.
I mean,
Pete?
Hold on, Pete. I'm waiting for Pete to save me here.
Yeah.
I know. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up too. French Bulldogs. That's what it is. French Bulldogs.
Do you have one?
Well, no. And this is where I challenge the universe a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I'm not a huge little dog fan. I have a little dog, Toto. He's a Cairn Terrier, right?
Yeah.
And I have the, Bentley, my German Shepherd. But these French Bulldogs, they can't give birth without human help.
Because the heads are so massive.
So they have to have C-sections.
Yeah.
Are you a real animal if you can't really give birth? I'm just throwing the challenge flag out there.
I was not ready for this.
Well, now you know. I know. Don't get yourself in trouble, with the activists for the French Bulldogs here. But, I mean, I don't know. I found that out.
We have an English Bulldog in our house. I've not asked him how he came into the world. But
you have a French Bulldog?
English
Bulldog.
Like
yes.
Big,
Well, yes, right. Which English dogs were the opposite. Like, they were made to look the way they were actually through bad breeding. Did you know that?
Right.
That's why.
From the Aborigines.
The Aborigines, you never know. But that French Bulldog thing, I'm just saying it. Feel free to comment on Twitter about that. Are you a real animal if you can't really give birth to your breed? I don't think you are.
We'll get to your answers on
right,
Twitter
you're a
next week.
man-made animal. Get back to me on that and let me know, fellow listeners.
Count.
All right, let's do it.
There's no real segue that's not a harsh 180 from that to what the Patriots did or what they have done in the last 24 hours.
They're not
what
dogs
continuing
anymore.
to do. Yeah, I mean, tight end, Jonnu
Right.
Smith and Hunter Henry. 2 weeks ago, we sat right here and thought both those teams maybe should keep them because they were so valuable.
Yeah.
Who would have thought they'd both end up in the Patriots? 2 wide receivers in Agholor and Bourne. Edge rusher, Matthew Judon. I mean, they went nuts.
Killed it. I mean, I don't think you can sit here through the first, what are we at now? Not even a full 24 hours? They've won free agency to this point.
And this is a team that normally, maybe they sign one every couple, 3 years, but this is an aberration.
Yeah, well, it is. It was
Yeah.
the first year in 20 years that they've had to actually rebuild their team. So let's not forget
True.
about that. It's a conversation I had with Florio a little bit this morning where he says, we never see this, right? We've never seen them come off a 7-9 season in a long time.
Right.
It's the first time they have legitimate holes on their roster and there's some rebuilding to do. Okay? Here, this is the first thing I want to hit off. We're going to talk about the Patriots.
Yes.
It starts with the fact that they signed a quarterback named Cam Newton in this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And what I don't understand is just the crap fest on Cam Newton.
But why? I mean, they
I
7-9,
understand.
as you brought it
Right,
up.
right.
There were a number of games where not only did they not win,
Yeah.
they couldn't put together a scoring drive.
Right. I understand that, and I know it wasn't his best, but they were also 7-9, like we said, and there's a few games in there where you go, it's coming down to the end and they're going to win the game. And yes, okay, maybe he fumbled. We've talked about the Kansas City game,
Right.
The Denver game, the first game back from COVID. Those to me were flukish wins. Flukish losses, I would almost say. And there's even another close game the Seattle Seahawks game. They're on the 1-inch yard line going into score in week 2. So they're this close from going 10-6 and being a totally different team. I know it wasn't perfect with Cam Newton. Now, I would love to take the temperature now of everybody in New England and go, well, how do you feel with this team around Cam Newton? Because first off, this offense fits him. But here's just the aspect I don't like with the Cam Newton conversation.
Yeah.
I understand the throwing wasn't perfect. I get that. I've still seen enough years of really, really good throwing to where I'm not going to just go, he had, a few bad games throwing the football in a really odd year on a new team with no offseason. I'm not going to go, I'm going to wipe away 9 good years of throwing because I saw those 2 or 3. I understand it's not perfect. But here's what bothers me more than that, too. Because all I see is his stats.
Right.
8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Well, you. Sorry, and that would be my last swear.
It is rare. It is rare to see more touchdowns.
I don't
than
care,
picks.
but that's not part of his game. So why doesn't anybody talk about the 12 touchdown rushes he gave the football team and the almost 600 yards rushing? Let's add that. Now it's 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Not really that bad when you talk about it that way. Plus, even with these signings that I'm going to get into here in a second and all that, it's not going to be about great passing stats.
Right.
He could have an amazing year next year, and he's going to be. It could be 17 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, and we can go. He had a hell of a year, and then they'll win, and then they'll have the rushing touchdowns, and everybody will talk about it that year. Where they'll go, and he had 14 rushing touchdowns, so really he had 31. But if it's a year you're going to crap on him, we're not going to bring that part up, and that's what I don't like about it. Now, getting back to the free agency,
Hold on.
they killed it.
I want to stay with Cam.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And we'll definitely get to the free agency part of it. But a couple of good questions here from Twitter. At David Poping, is Cam really the answer in New England, or is he just a stopgap for one of your top 6 quarterbacks in the class?
Well, I think now. All right. So here. Let's. That's a very good question. One, in my heart of hearts, do I think New England really wanted Jimmy Garoppolo back? Yes. In my heart of hearts, I do.
Still could happen?
I don't think so anymore.
Okay.
I don't. I think that ship has sailed. I don't think New England's the type of team that's going to bring 2 guys in, divide the locker room, and have this total polarizing effect on their football team. They're not about that. And I just, from my time there, things Josh McDaniels used to say to me, I just don't believe that's their belief. So I think that ship sailed and gone. But do I think they really wanted Jimmy G? Yeah, I do. But I also think they're a team that they want to get started on building their team and what their vision is for 2020. So they couldn't sit there and wait for the 49ers to deal and wait, maybe 2-3 more weeks. I don't know how long it's going to take. But either way, the 49ers aren't going to just trade Jimmy G unless they got a quarterback in their hands too. And anybody who's been listening to me over the last month, I've been saying, if I could align the stars and call my shot, oops, there goes Dak Prescott. Good thing he got that contract.
Good thing he just got paid.
He's got security there. I always thought there'd be a good chance The Jets draft Zach Wilson. Sam Darnold's on the trade block. The 49ers take that. Belichick and Shanahan are close. And Shanahan will call Belichick and be like, hey, I'm going to get Sam Darnold. Do you want Jimmy G? And something would go down that way. But I don't think New England was willing to wait. So that's why they had to do it. Better options out there? I don't know if there really is better options out there. And you got to take into account the way their team is built to go along with that. And they are built through the run. They have a special offensive line. Arguably a top 5. I mean, it's definitely one of the best run blocking O-lines in football. Overall, it's probably in the top 5 conversation. So, yes, I don't think there was the options out there that they really liked. I think Cam Newton kind of fit what they want to do as a complete offense and football team that way. They want to play defense. They're going to run the ball. And Cam, of course, affects the run game and all of that. And I think they feel probably the same way what I'm saying, to go, that was the worst possible year he could have throwing the football. We think that he can still be better than that. Now, to the quarterback thing with this year's draft, what this does do is maybe this is, and I don't think New England takes a quarterback in the first half of the first round.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be that.
Second round.
But I do wonder second round. And maybe if they'll even go the running quarterback route a little bit. And that's where I get into the, again, I would be one, I would not draft Trey Lance in the first round. I love some of his skills. There's no way I'm going to draft him, a guy that raw who hasn't played that much football or thrown that many passes in the first round.
But somebody will.
Maybe, I think. To me, I'm still going to see the guy. I still think as it goes here, he'll be the guy that falls to the second.
Really?
I really do. I do. And I probably think that with my guy from Texas A&M, but for the opposite reasons. There's not enough hype there for the first round. But maybe what I'm basically getting back to is I guess I feel like that might open the door for them to draft that kind of guy in the second round. Kind of a dual threat guy. Hey, we don't need you to come in here and tear people up in the passing game right off the bat, because we have this running game and we can take advantage of your running ability and do those type of things. Just interesting, something to watch out for, something that certainly has crossed my mind. We'll see Jarrett Stidham. From all indications, we'll see. I don't know where that goes. He might be the backup. I wouldn't be shocked if he's not on the team there.
Yeah.
The way he fell by the wayside
a lot
there.
changed in a year there.
Well, if he fell by the wayside. And I think really what's disheartening is they didn't like what they saw on the field, which I can't blame them. When he came in mop-up duty, it wasn't real impressive last year. And then the last thing, too, is, it just seemed like Cam went in there and just was like, oh, no, screw you, it's my job. And there was not even a competition.
Right.
And that is not going to sit well with people. They're going to be like, damn, you just going to lay down?
Yeah.
That's not the New England way. So we'll see. But either way, that's just my Cam Newton thought there a little bit.
Getting us into the free agency and what they've done this last day.
Yeah, let's do it.
So many big names, so many different positions addressed. Let's start here. Of all the guys they signed, or they're going to sign,
right?
Your favorite move is?
Well, it's probably the Jonnu Smith.
Okay.
I think so. He excites me a lot. And for what he can do to that offense, he's multiple. The thing about the Patriots and everything here is, everybody's multiple.
Yeah.
Now, and you might go, whoa, who cares? What about multiple? Well, for New England, it's real. There's other teams where I want to go, well, you got a player that's multiple. But you don't do multiplicity. You guys just put that guy in that spot all the time. For New England, it is really real. We've always talked about the different game plans from week to week and all that. Jonnu Smith can be a slot receiver, a tight end, a second tight end, an H-back, a fullback. He can do everything. So you can move him around and never really have the matchup of personnel on defense versus that offense that you might not like.
Don't you have to look at it, too, or examine it with Hunter Henry now, too?
Well, definitely. And he's similar that way, too. Oh, here's a tight end in the traditional spot with Jonnu Smith. Hey, here the next play. They're split out at wide receiver. And now, we kept in our extra linebackers because we thought they were going to run the ball, and now you're mix-matched again, too. So that plays into it. Let alone, you got a guy like Cam Newton, a quarterback, and you're going to be able to do all these cool things off the run game and the fakes and the quarterback run game. They're going to put people in big-time binds there. New England is about versatility. One, yes, because they have versatile game plans week to week. Oh, this week we got to kind of do a 3-4. This week we got to kind of do a 4-3. 3. This week we need 2 tight ends and we're going to run the ball. We think that's the weakness of this defense. Oh, next week, well, we got to spread it out a little bit. This team we're playing this week does stop the run, but they're weak in the secondary. So that's the way they play, let alone at positions like tight end and some of these other positions you see. They're not going to just let one injury ruin the team to where they go, no, we can't play that set anymore. So now they have a lot. They have these 2 guys, Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, who are special. And then they have 2 young guys in Dalton Keene and Asiasi, who's really talented, who can kind of be the backups and continue to still learn to be pros and go that way. But they don't have to depend on them to be studs right now. And I think that's where Belichick really likes the value of those 2 tight ends, too.
Which passing game tandem in the free agent signing do you think will help the most? Smith and Henry, or out wide, or slot and wide, Agholor and Bourne?
They got the under-the-radar gems at receiver. Again, it goes into New England. Which one am I more excited about? Probably the tight ends, but not by a whole lot.
Okay.
You heard, I guarantee Kyle Shanahan's hurt that Bourne's gone. They wanted to keep Bourne.
Bringing me to this question, at Philippe C. Bourne, they signed the Niners' number 4 receiver. How does that help?
Yeah, it's not the number 4 receiver. He's the number 2 receiver, the number 3 receiver. That's what he's been. Mm-hmm. He's not the number 4. Who's 4? It's Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and Kendrick Bourne. George Kittle's a tight end, if that's what we're talking about there. But no, he was a legit number 2 receiver and a really good number 3, out of this world number 3. So I promise you, Kyle Shanahan's disappointed. They made and said they wanted him back. He even made comments last week in the media that I want to come back here, but I just want to see what's out there in free agency. With him and Agholor, first off, they have big playability. Bourne and Agholor can go 70 yards over the top. And then they're very good route runners off of that. So now, we don't need the deep passes this week. We want to run, jerk routes or fake the crossing route and come back out, or a post corner versus cover 2 where we need you to make 3 different cuts and flatten it out. They could do all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's going to be great too. And you won't be able to pin them to one position. They both can play X and be like, hey, we're on the line of scrimmage, we got size, and we can get off and beat you deep just with our pure talent. But they could also play Z and the slot receiver and do the more intricate route running stuff too. So there again, you have versatility and mismatch. So you put those 2 guys on the field with those 2 tight ends, there's so many things they can do. And so what did New England fans want? The thing I see on social media is all about Kenny Golladay. Oh, so you want to pay basically all the money to Kenny Golladay.
You'd rather have these 2 than that one?
Yes, a guy that's, was hurt all last year, and now we're going to pay him $18 million a year. New England's not going to do that. They're not. Let alone they're not looking at themselves and being like, we need to be the most high-octane pass offense in football. They want guys that can do the dirty work and then can take advantage of what's there to be had within their system. And that's where Agholor and Kendrick Bourne are really damn good.
At JK Takes would like to know, is this still a bottom 3rd wide receiver core?
I don't think so. I'd have to look at it as a total there right now. But
upgrade from bottom to middle, maybe?
Yeah, probably in the middle-ish. But, it has potential to be better than that. Mm-hmm. It really does. John Gruden, he loves Agholor. I guarantee that was another one.
He had a good year? Yeah.
New England was smart here. They looked at guys and they said, wait, we have a lot of money. The 49ers and Raiders don't have a ton of money. They have a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah.
What's the price we can kind of bid both of these teams out of it for?
Yeah.
Where they just go, damn, that's a little too much for us. We got a few other things we need to worry about on our team right now. And that's the New England way. I thought they were brilliant moves. I really did.
So thinking of wide receiver, at Charlie Roseman says now, spinning it forward, do the Pats still need to address receiver in the draft?
There's no pressure there. Now there's no more pressure on the N'Keal Harry thing.
Would it be a mistake to spend a top 3 pick on a receiver?
I don't imagine them doing that. Mm-hmm. I think Damiere Byrd's still pretty good. And he might be a free agent. I got to look that up, actually. In fact, I think he might be a free agent, isn't he, Pete? But and then there's the Julian Edelman factor. We'll see. I know we got a knee issue. We're not sure if he'll ever be back or totally normal, the same, or whatever that may be. But I think as a whole, yeah, I look at those two receivers, and again, yeah, they're not going to be sexy, but it's really damn good. And New England, again, it doesn't need to be superstar receivers. For the same reason everyone goes, well, Brady never had superstars. Yes, because they're always open. As long as they have a little talent, they're open. The numbers would tell you that Brady threw to more open receivers in the history of football than anybody. So why would they have to go out and spend for big-time receivers when they know they can get real good receivers open all the time? And I think that's their approach they take there.
You've said here a couple times that the Patriots don't need to have an explosive, big-time passing game to win with the way they want to play.
Right.
I know you tweeted yesterday they still need an explosive running back. Ty Christensen tweets and asks, so are you not a fan of Damian Harris?
I am a fan of Damian Harris. I like him, but he's not like a definitive number one game-breaking running back. Again, we're talking about a guy who ran high 4.5s, that's 213 pounds, and, had, 500 yards or 600 yards rushing, but damn, we're just going to, he's the guy. Oh, he's superstar. No, it's the NFL. The Patriots are going to be built around the run game. James White's a free agent. Rex Burkhead's a free agent and tore his ACL. Sony Michel has never been healthy since he got there. Yes, they need another guy. If your team is going to be about running and tight ends, going back to that again, you need more than one of those kind of guys. So, yes, the 49ers don't just get one running back and go, we're good. We're just going to roll the dice that he stays healthy all year.
Right.
Or the 49ers, or the Saints. The teams that are like that, the Minnesota Vikings, they all have a really good number 2.
And the Buccaneers, Pete, did you just tell me that they're talking to James White?
So there you go. They're going to look at a James White. Yeah, I feel like if they were going to sign James White, that would already happen. So he's probably priced himself out a little bit that way, and they're going to go a different route. But, again, don't always just look at the stats either. It's about what's there to be had. And I like Damian Harris, but he's not like a game breaker. Yeah, I'd like to see them get one other guy involved there. And you have a different style in how you can approach. Here's a sledgehammer who's going to, you got to put on your big boy pads. And, yeah, he can break out the pack and get 20 and 30-yard runs. But I would like to see them bring in a little bit of a slasher, a big play guy to go along with it, especially if you're going to run that Cam Newton shotgun, fake speed sweeps, and do all that type of stuff too.
A lot of positive reaction, and I think their signings warrant it to what the Patriots have done. I know with the number of players they signed that it can't be all positive, so let's kind of put a cap on the Pats here by pointing out what might be your least favorite move or one of the signings they went with where you were like, I don't know about that.
There's not one.
Not one?
There's not. I mean, even, Devon Godshaw.
Yeah.
He's anybody that's listened to my Bleacher Report podcast back in the day. He's a killer inside. He is perfect. So he's got the Brian Flores, I know what to expect in this defense anyways, yet they need size up front. How many times last year did we talk about on the podcast that, oh, man, the Patriots are playing a running team? They're going to have to load the box. They're going to have to put a lot of pressure on their secondary because they have no interior D linemen or no special outside linebackers. So you got Godshaw, who's a double team eater. He could be a 3-4-2 gap guy. You got Matt Judon.
You like that investment?
I love that investment.
That was a big ticket item there, Matthew
Judon.
Judon.
And again, it won't be about 12 and 13 sacks a year. It's going to be a lot of 7 and 8 and 9 sacks a year, but it's also going to be phenomenal in the run game and multiplicity. It's going to be, 3-4 outside linebacker. 4-3 defensive end. You're strong enough on third down. We'll line you up over the guard here. Stand up and see if you can beat him with your speed. You have enough strength to hang in there with him, too. He's got so many different things he can do. I love Jalen Mills, a scrappy nickel corner. He's going to be perfect for their football team. Henry Anderson. Then not a lot of money, but it's along what it's a guy that's like, when he's healthy, he does pretty good, and he can do a lot of things on, the defensive side of the ball.
Sounds like your guy Josh Allen's in trouble in that division now.
It's not going to be they closed the gap. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. And again, they were 7-9 and real close last year. So I can't really say a lot of negative. I as a football guy, really liked what the Patriots did yesterday.
Pleasant surprise to see them get out there and do that, wasn't it?
It really was. Yeah. It's rare. It's very
Good
rare.
News day.
Yeah.
Thinking of pleasant surprise,
Yeah.
moving over to the NFC and the Buccaneers.
Right.
Last couple weeks, every time the Buccaneers came up, it was hard for me to pick which side I wanted to be on. Should they keep Godwin? Should they keep Barrett? Because there's no way they can keep both. No way they can find a way to keep both. They got both those guys, and they keep Levante David.
I know.
And they keep Gronk. So
right.
Speaking of pleasant surprises, I didn't see that one coming up.
No, I didn't either. I mean, I really didn't. You know, they obviously knew what they were doing. And franchising Godwin, you know, maybe that was the one guy they realized, well, if he gets on the market, we might not be able to
Brady wasn't going to let him go.
Yeah, I mean, so that's big time. But my big overall thought, it's just so rare to see a Super Bowl winning team with this many free agents keep the team intact. Yeah. It's really rare.
What do you read into that?
And I think one, you know, Jason Light's done a really good job of balancing the checkbook and do those type of things. But they had a good gauge or feel for the market too, you know, as far as, okay, let's Shaq Barrett, you know, be a free agent for a few hours. We don't think the market's going to be quite where he thinks it's going to be. You know, and I think that's probably where he wasn't franchised. Maybe they were like, oh, we're going to see if we can get 21 million a year, something like that. And they're okay, you know, but I think maybe they realistically thought, like, well, it's going to be less than that, and we can come in and swoop in on that.
Yeah.
You know, or see if you can find a better deal. This deal's here to be had. Florio said that this morning. This deal's here. We'll keep it here for a little while. You can go out and make a few phone calls, but we're not going to keep this here forever, and you have to do something. Yeah. And I think they found guys that weren't, like, overall greedy. You know, that's the other thing. Levante David didn't try to kill it. He probably could have got more out there in the free agent market, right?
Yeah.
They keep Godwin as far as the franchise tag, so that speaks for itself. Brady restructures his deal, and that helps, I'm sure, with the Shaq Barrett stuff. And now you got Gronk. It's amazing. I mean, I'm really shocked. I did not think we would be sitting here saying they kept all these guys.
I don't know these guys personally, and I don't know their motivations, but I see something like this with Levante David staying there. And you mentioned you probably could have got more elsewhere.
Yeah.
I like to read into it and think, you know, maybe he's in there thinking, I'm better if Devin White's next to me because I'm not the linebacker they're most worried about on my team, so that's going to make me play even better. Maybe there's some of that thought that's kind of a, I don't know, bigger picture intelligence as well.
I don't doubt that at all. I mean, just that, hey, I thrive here. This is made for me, this environment, this scheme. Plus, we're really good. And, you know, at least with, like, Levante David, he could sit there and go, I've made pretty good money through my career to this point. So $1.5 million, $2 million per year is not going to make or break me, you know, to where I got to go somewhere new, figure out their style of play, you know, adapt to their culture, move my family and do all of that.
Yeah.
You know, so, no, really amazing what Tampa Bay did. And we'll see what they do with, you know, Suh and Antonio Brown and Leonard Fournette now.
In thinking about that, next question there, who do you prioritize as a must-bring back free agent now between Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, and Ndamukong Suh, Ryan Suckup?
Oh, I mean, you know, the kicker is a real thing. I haven't really gauged the kicking market, so I'm not going to be able to sit there and give you some numbers or anything to think that way. But the one I think to prioritize there, I would think it's Suh as one. Suh is still a space eater up front and disruptive. You know, so that's I mean, it might be a one-year deal. But Leonard Fournette, there's Ronald Jones there.
Maybe James White.
He's the guy, and that's there's free agent running backs, the draft. I would think Fournette's going to try to just get a little bit of cash in here for the last few years of his career. Be the true number one guy at least, or you know, in the mix to sharing with somebody else. I think Ronald Jones is going to be the guy in Tampa. You know, don't forget, Fournette, yes, it was really good at the end, but it was also because Ronald Jones had a hamstring injury, and that was the big reason why Fournette got all those carries. Antonio Brown's the guy, again, I'll say, you know, especially with Godwin back, now he becomes expendable. You know, I've said earlier today on the TV show.
You think either one of those guys is back?
I don't think Fournette will be back, and I think the more, now that this has gone the way it's gone, I would bet you Antonio Brown's not back either. Is he going to come back for the minimum for his age? At
Probably
this point,
not,
I wouldn't think so. You know, is he guaranteed? Like I've said to Florio, like, if he's better than Scotty Miller, it's barely.
Right.
I mean, it's not like, oh my gosh, it's such a difference. Why would they let Antonio Brown go? No. Scotty Miller's actually, I've said, is actually faster and more scary as far as big plays are talked about.
And cost less.
And cost less, right. I would think Antonio's going to try to cash in a little bit here and find a place where he can maybe be the number 2 and have a role. He's not going to be the number 2 in Tampa. He is no better than the 3 at the very best, and that's why I would say no, he's probably not there.
Okay, so we kind of got to the Buccaneers talking about, or Levante David re-signing.
Right.
They've done a nice job with that inside of that building. Thinking of other re-signings around the league.
Yep.
What are you willing to call the most crucial? We've got the Rams with Leonard Floyd, Lions, Romeo Okwara, Packers, Aaron Jones, 49ers, Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah.
Got some pretty good options there.
Yeah, there are some good options. I think the 2 that pop to me, you said Aaron Jones. I know you said Juicy J and Kyle Juszczyk there with the 49ers. Leonard Floyd, and who was the other one, the first one you said there?
Okwara?
Okwara,
Yeah.
right. Okwara, which is a really solid, good player, one of the special guys they have on their front 7 in Detroit. But I think if I'm going to boil it down to most importance, I'm probably going to go Leonard Floyd 1. Floyd is, he's on the Chris Sims All-Star team. I love him. I really do. Everything that he brings to the table. Again, I think he got a bad rap in Chicago because he was a top 10 pick and he didn't get enough sacks. But you're talking about, a team that doesn't have great depth. High-level talent is important to them for the way their team is orchestrated. And, he's a special football player, which, again, the versatility of what he can bring to the table and do all that.
Right.
I'll say he's number 1. I'll say Juszczyk's number 2 out of that group. Yeah.
Ahead of Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead of Aaron Jones just because, and again, I like Aaron Jones. There's no doubt. He's got the big playability and all of that. Could they survive at running back with a little bit of a lesser guy? Yes, they could have. It wouldn't have been as good or as sexy or maybe as dangerous and all that, but I do think they could because I still think that offense revolves around Rodgers, his pass game, him getting into the right plays and all of those things, let alone they have a very good offensive line. But where Shanahan, so much of his game plan, a little bit like we talked about with New England and the tight ends, is predicated around what do you do when I have Kittle and Juszczyk on the field? How do you approach it? You're going to play nickel? You're going to play base? How are you going to do this? Oh, you're going to play nickel. You're going to play pass defense. Okay, we'll get in traditional run sets, and here we go. And now he's an extra tight end. Or, oh, wait, he's a fullback, and we're changing, the strength of the run plays, and then you're nickel, and we're in a good running, So that's to where he's important. He does all of those type of things, let alone he's a real weapon out of the backfield. I mean, for what he does at fullback and even, lining up as that H-back and doing things that way, Shanahan's game is, of course, based off the run and the play action, and that's where Juszczyk is real special. So I'll make him 2.
I think it's an underrated part that you bring up about Juszczyk because when you have Kittle and Juszczyk on the field, as a quarterback or an OC or a play-calling head coach, you're looking for any kind of tell. What can I put in the field where maybe they'll tell me without wanting to tell me what they're playing?
Right.
And that's huge to have him
That's
out
what
there.
he does. It's a New England thought. It's just going into what Hunter Henry.
It's smart.
Oh, okay, now you're playing a run defense. All right, well, Juszczyk and Kittle can split out.
Yeah.
And, we got Kittle split out this one. And now Juszczyk's in the backfield with our other tailback. So you still got to we might still run it. I don't know. What are you going to do? Oh, no. Oh, we faked the run. It's play action. Juszczyk still got out in a route out of the fullback position, and Kittle's running down the middle of the field. And we got 2. So that's what that value is. And to me, that's like a real key piece for Shanahan.
Exactly.
And what he wants.
Every time I see the name Kyle Juszczyk, and have for the last, let's say, decade, he's been in the NFL.
Right.
Senior Bowl, the year he's coming out.
Sure.
Okay, day 1 at the Senior Bowl. I'm down there hosting with Mayock and Charles Davis. And at the end of each day, early, I would say, every year, hey, give me a name, we don't know yet, smaller school that you think you better get to know this one because he's going to be pretty good. And Mayock had Kyle Juszczyk and really spoke well of him. It was like on the Monday, I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Asked him a couple follow-ups on it. I remember walking off the set, a certain boss who shall remain nameless cornered me and was all over me because I let Mayock talk about this kid who was never going to play in the NFL.
Oh, geez.
I didn't challenge him. He's not going to be a player. How can you do that?
Right.
And he just kind of walked away.
Right.
And every time I see Juszczyk doing well now, I think of that scene. I'm like,
the old TV boss, huh? Playing billion-dollar owner, telling everybody what the football,
what do you know?
What's going on. What do you know?
Yeah.
I produce TV shows. I know personnel.
Good for Kyle for bringing back that memory all the time.
Good, good for. I mean, I have strong memories to Juszczyk too.
How so?
Juszczyk was on the Patriots radar hard. He was there in Harvard, right?
Yeah.
I was
right
working for the
backyard.
Patriots then. I was at his pro day at Harvard and at their stadium.
Patriot guy.
But yes, he was one of those guys that, I think, a lot of the good offensive minds or teams that have a real clue kind of had their eye on to be this type of guy. And he's got a great build. And he's one of those guys that could have gone to probably a better school football-wise, but went to Harvard for life reasons and all of that, and still worked out, plenty fine.
You want to pour some salt on a wound there with the Aaron Jones idea?
Well, what about it?
You want to go there?
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
At Andre Brown Jr. tweets, how should Aaron Rodgers feel knowing that although the Aaron Jones signing deal helps him, this shows the Packers essentially wasted last year's draft? I don't know if that's true or not, because they did get Dillon.
They got Dillon. He'll be the second guy in charge here. He'll be the hammer, right? The hammer guy who comes in.
I guess why re-sign Jones if you have Dillon? I don't know.
No, it's because
you already went through this. It's nice to have 2 or 3 good guys.
You got to have that. It is still an offense that likes to run the football, and the big thing is Dillon is a true sledgehammer. We've seen him in person when he came to Notre Dame and bought. He's not a guy that. Yeah, he could maybe break a 30 or 40-yard run occasionally when the Red Sea parts, right? But no, it's going to be a lot of more of like, ooh, that's a good 5-yard run.
Yeah,
ooh, that's a good 8-yard run. That's right. Jones is a home run hitter. Jones is their Raheem Mostert, right? Their kind of guy where, hey, we want to toss this out on the edge, and we're going to, run 98 bunch crunch and crack down the edge, and we're hoping to get him a seam to where he can go 70 yards up the sidelines. He's a home run hitter that way. So that's why they get him. I mean, yes, am I still disappointed by the 2020 draft for the Packers? To our listeners' question, yes, I am. I still am pissed about that.
All right, Drew Brees officially retires. Welcome to NBC, Drew.
Woo, woo.
Saints re-signed Jameis Winston. So handicap the Winston-Taysom Hill quarterback competition. Who do you think starts week 1?
I'm going to give Taysom Hill the advantage there just because I feel like that's Peyton's guy. He's been there.
They made that call last year?
Yes. He was the true backup last year. I think he'll get first right of refusal or first right to lose his job as far as that's concerned. Again, the way the Saints are built, with their offensive line and doing those type of things, I think you could see a New England-y type of approach with him at quarterback. Yeah, they're going to run the ball, smash mouth. The looks will be pretty easy in the pass game. He'll throw off that and make the appropriate throws and do all of that. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Taysom Hill. But it's a really smart sign by the New Orleans Saints and by Jameis Winston. I'm so glad Jameis Winston didn't chase,
I agree,
fool's gold or something like that. This is the spot. No one was going to let you just go and be the guy. And if they were, it was like teams like Chicago where I'd go, oh, you could go there and your whole career could be over in 1 year. That goes the wrong way. And I would also say to Chicago, like, you guys already have that, bad, the bad aura around you about you can't evaluate quarterbacks, and now you're going to bring Jameis Winston?
Yeah.
That would be a disaster for them. So that was a smart move by them. They got a quarterback in Taysom Hill who certainly can get banged up. You need a good backup. Mm-hmm. They're still a really good football team, even though they got some salary cap to work with, some issues here, but they're in a better spot. Good for Jameis, good for the Saints.
Thinking about quarterback, I think this is one of the most thought-provoking signings of the last day. Ryan Fitzpatrick to Washington.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think, first of all, it's a crazy sign of how things change in less than a year. I mean, middle of last season, even though it's not going well with Dwayne Haskins, you kind of think, okay, that's probably their quarterback in the future. Maybe it'll be Alex Smith.
Right.
Those guys aren't going to be there.
Yep.
Heineke's there, who was taking graduate school classes, not on a roster in December, and now it's Fitz as well.
Yeah.
So that's my first thought. It's just crazy, the turnover and the change of tone they've had there.
It is. They got Kyle Allen there. I guess the real thought is this it? Is this the quarterbacks they're going to go with for the year?
Would you rather see Fitzpatrick Let's say they don't go quarterback in the draft.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's between Fitzpatrick and Heineke to be the guy to start the season.
It's going to be Fitzpatrick. I mean, it's going to because
you
he's
saw
getting
Heineke in the playoffs.
I know, but it's one game against a guy who's done it for a long time, and the money just tells you everything you need to know. It's $10 million compared to a guy that got $2 million.
Yeah.
So they're going to make Fitzpatrick the guy, and they're going to feel good that Heineke and Kyle Allen are there back behind them and doing all of that.
Should they prioritize it in the draft still?
Don't be forced into a corner. Don't just take a quarterback to take a quarterback just because everybody says you need to. I think this is what this does.
What if?
Yeah.
What if Kellen Mond's there at 19?
I would think about it. Now, I don't know the way the rest of football thinks about Kellen Mond. You know, I don't. You know, I mean, Kellen Mond, I'll be shocked if he's not gone by the top 45 picks of the draft. I would think about it. I think he could play that style of football. And, you know, at the very least, he could sit there and be a backup. And he's got elite traits. Like
and
I
he
told
will be
you.
there at 19.
I would think he'd be there, yes. I would think he'd be there. But I don't think they need to be forced in that corner. You know, they're I think looking at it going, wait, quarterback doesn't make or break us with the way they play and want to play. You know, again, I think they're a team that wants to run the ball. They're going to try to get another weapon opposite of Terry McLaurin. And we saw last year with below average quarterback play, they went to the playoffs. I mean, below average. It really was. It was just quarterbacks where it was like, hey, don't mess the game up.
Yeah.
Don't mess the game up.
They were allowed to make the playoffs that way because of the division they were in.
Okay. Well, I know, but the division will be better, and I think they're going, we're going to be better too. And I do think Ryan Fitzpatrick certainly an upgrade from anything they had last year.
For sure.
So that's, you know, that is intriguing. I don't know what their next move is.
Yeah.
But the way it sits right now, it makes me think there's a good chance that they might just go into the year with these are their three guys, and they're happy with it. Unless maybe a quarterback they really love fell to them at some point of the draft where they went, well, we didn't expect him to be here. Yeah. Maybe we do this now.
Even then, with the money they gave Fitz, you pointed out, and with the way, I know it was only one game, but with the way Heineke played, you're thinking, man, we can be just fine with either one of these two guys.
Oh, I don't know how not. You know, I really don't. There's too many quality things about this football team to where you look at them and I just go, you know, what's not to like? They lost some heartbreakers early in the year when they were trying to find their way, you know, in that way. And then we saw what their defense can do. Yeah. I don't think they're far off. And, yeah, it's an interesting move by them and a good move, I think, for them signing Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Because of how stacked they are on that defensive line, they've done so well up front on the drafts, high end of the draft. Edge defender is not part of the conversation with Washington right now, but let's go there because there were some big names out there signing the last day.
Right.
Who counts as your best fits? And I'm going to throw out here Yannick Ngakoue to the Raiders, Bud Dupree to the Titans, Carl Lawson Jets, Trey Hendrickson to the Bengals, and a lot of big names still available. So we'll get to those guys. But of those who have signed, what do you like most?
They're all good. That's the one thing. If I took one theme from yesterday,
like them all.
Well, it was smart signings. It wasn't like, hey.
Think about what you just said with edge rushers, smart signings, free agent.
I know.
Doesn't always go that way.
No, it does not. It's usually a bunch of there's a few splash signings where it's just like, we want the biggest superstar. We want to show our fans we're willing to spend money, and we're paying this guy all. And you're like, whoa, wait, they're doing all this. There was none of that, you know. That's why I think there's some big names still out there because, some of those guys in a year, again, where the cap space is different and lower, there's got to be some different thought process by these teams altogether. All of those guys fit their scheme. They really do. Now, Carl Lawson, I love that. Yeah, they're looking, Robert Saleh's looking for his Nick Bosa, D Ford type guy that helped them get to the Super Bowl. True pass rusher. Get wide, come off the edge, and just get after the quarterback. And we don't need you to worry about the run all that much, okay? We just want you to create havoc that way. So that's a great system fit. You know, Yannick Ngakoue out with the Raiders. Same defensive system. It's Gus Bradley, Robert Saleh. You know, they were all up in Seattle. Gus Bradley was in Tampa with me, of course, was the old Jacksonville head coach, but they were all up in Seattle at one point in Seattle's prime of the Legion of Boom, and that's the scheme they're running. Raiders need Yannick Ngakoue. I'm not saying that's my second favorite fit, though. So I think I would go, the fit I like the most is Bud Dupree. I mean, Bud Dupree, is just a stud, a man's man.
You disappointed Pittsburgh let him out the door?
Yeah, but I mean, with that kind of, I didn't know if anybody would offer that kind of contract with still a torn ACL and no like insurance that he's going to be totally 100% by the time the season starts or training camp. I'd have a hard time thinking he's 100% Bud Dupree by week 1 in the NFL season.
Mid-season, though?
Mid-season, you might get there. And I think that's what they're going. They're going, okay, so what? We can deal with, him getting his feet back underneath him and all that, because he really is, again, this is Vrabel. This is a 3-4 defense, in theory. It's his kind of guy. It's a New England kind of guy. It's like we talked about with Matt Judon. Oh, it's a 3-4 this week. He could play outside linebacker. Oh, this week it's more of a 4-3, and we need you to put your hand on the ground and be a defensive end in the three-point stands. Like, he can do all that. So that probably is my favorite fit for a team that sucked at rushing the quarterback. That was a good job by them. Hendrickson with the Cincinnati in the last one, that one to me is just, they threw a lot of money at him for the first year. And he's the one that you've heard me say, I just go, I don't know how much money I would have thrown at a guy who I believe got 6 sacks the first 3 years of his career, and then last year had this big year. And Carl Lawson's the same thing. But Carl Lawson is more injury related. When Carl Lawson is healthy, it's consistent poppage on the film. Consistent poppage. That's a technical term.
That's new,
Yeah, but it is, where you're always like, man, who is this guy off the edge? And now the health, they're risking it with that. But I liked all of those fits for the most part is what I'm saying. But Dupree and Lawson, I guess, were my favorite. It's
such a coveted position this time of year. I want to get to your favorite if it's still available before we move on. So Jadeveon Clowney, Melvin Ingram, Aldon Smith, Carlos Dunlap, Hassan Reddick, Justin Houston. Anybody jump out there of those left? If you missed out on the top 4 or 5, we're going to get one. Which one would you like there?
Same again. There's Reddick, Yannick, Justin Houston, Dunlap.
Ingram, Smith, Clowney.
Yeah, I mean, Clowney it's risky with the injury and with injury history and all of that. So, I mean, when he's healthy, he's still probably the most beastly of that crew.
Mm-hmm.
I
thought you'd say Melvin Ingram.
Well, I'm getting there. It's going to be who I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick. He's, again, a guy that can do a lot of different things for a defense. I mean, literally can put him at middle linebacker, outside linebacker, 4-3 defensive end. But I'm sure because of his stats and everything else, he's probably priced himself a little high. And as where these teams are going, wait, we're not going to pay you for, your 4-game sack output last year that you basically had.
Yeah.
That to me there. So, Melvin Ingram is the guy. There's no doubt. Now, he's a little banged up. He's had those issues too, but to me, it's the most consistent player, and I would think Melvin Ingram's still got a good 2-3 years left in the tank, and he can do everything well on the edge of that defense.
Let's go to the offensive line, buddy, here, specifically the interior of the offensive line. Who upgraded the most? Corey Linsley to the Chargers, Joe Thuney to the Chiefs, Kevin Zeitler to the Ravens. Yeah,
I mean, I like all of those. I mean, the one I think that, the Ravens getting Zeitler for basically 2 years, $16 million is basically what the contract boils down to.
How do you think Joe Burrow feels?
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I thought maybe that would be a place where he'd reunite. But that was a great signing by the Ravens. Finding a guy who's coming to the end of his career, and you're going, if we give him, $10 million right up front this year, that might be good, and we get good 2 years out of him. That's all we need. So that is great. But I think the one that jumps out to me is the Chargers. Because, yes, we know they need to improve their offensive line. You got a special quarterback. The receivers they're pretty much in place there. You got to be happy with that. The running game has been the downfall of them. Pass protection has been the downfall. So Linsley, as we talked about, clearly the best center in football. And then I even love that they got Matt Feeler from the Steelers. That was big too. Feeler he could play right tackle or guard. He played right tackle 2 years ago, played guard last year, did very good there. So that's like they got a 2-in-1 there to fit it all together. I thought that was probably, the best offensive line moves. I love Thuney, certainly. I mean, we know the Chiefs need it.
Yeah.
But I think the Chargers killed it as far as that's concerned.
There's some real dot connecting to thinking about what the Chiefs did on the offensive line. So they cut Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz on Friday.
Right.
And then they signed Thuney. Good question here from @DasBatlam. Love the pod. Is Joe Thuney worth more than both Fisher and Schwartz? Because that is a fair way of looking at it.
Yeah, right. Well, I think there's, first off, with Fisher, where he's at, the quality of play, coming off that injury, Achilles tear.
Probably in his early 30s by now.
Yeah. It's just, to me, that's risky.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking they know something about Mitchell Schwartz, too. It's a back injury. So, what I'm thinking, there's just something more there than we know as far as that health. So, yes, from that standpoint, Thuney, who is definitely one of the top guards in the sport, and what I would say is, equally balanced. And, okay, he's not the best run-blocking guard, but he's one of them, right?
Yeah.
He's not the best pass-blocking guard, but he's one of them. So he has that New England versatility, too. And, Mike asked me today on the show, he's like, if you're Mahomes, what's Mahomes better with? Dealing with guys coming off the edge or guys right up the middle in his face and all that? And I kind of thought, the edge guys, it seems that he can make them miss more. So many times in the game, that last game.
Oh, my gosh.
It was stunts or people shooting through, the B gaps between the guard and the tackles and those type of things where they had issue. Or it was just, hey, yeah, we got pressure around the edge, but Vita Vea's pushing everybody back. And so now Mahomes had to run back. I'm guessing Andy Reid's looking at that going, wait, this guy he's a great run blocker. He's awesome in the screen game, whether it's running backs or wide receiver screen game. Thuney is awesome in space.
They're so creative
They
that
can
way.
do that, right? And they need to be even more creative with it. And then I think they're probably like, hey, as long as we give 15 a place to step up, he can make these guys on the edge miss and do that. So it's of course, it's a tough one altogether, but I think they know what they're doing. Keep this in mind, questioner.
Yeah.
Andy Reid, it's like the Steelers. They have an eye for receivers. Andy Reid he's got an eye for, I guarantee he's got a few guys coming up the ranks or even some low-level free agents where he's going, I can rebuild this O-line. I'm pretty damn good at O-line stuff and evaluation. He's proven that throughout his career.
And in recent years in Kansas City, he's taken guys early interior on the offensive line and started them and had success there that way too.
Right.
Staying in the AFC West with this position, more on Linsley to the Chargers. The Armchair GM3 asks, how would you now feel about the Chargers going after Trent Williams?
Ooh. I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, my thoughts on Williams. Let me look at where the Chargers are total as far as, tackle play is certainly an issue with the Chargers. Where they sit here right now, and this might not be totally up to date, but at $38 million left, I'd be thinking about it.
How much is he going to cost, you think?
I would say $20 million a year.
Yeah.
Maybe north of that. I know, maybe a little north of that.
Would you do it for more than 20? 20 seems about the limit, high teens-ish.
I know. Laramie Tunsil is making 22. I don't think Trent's totally selfish to where he's going to just go, I got to be the highest paid guy in the game. But I could live with $20 million a year for Trent Williams. He's too awesome. As you've heard me say, he's the best left tackle in football, in my opinion.
Wide receiver, Corey Davis to the Jets.
Ooh.
Good move?
It is a good move. He's the Kendrick Bourne for the 49ers and Shanahan. He's going to be that guy. And I know people, you're going to go, well, all right, but he's the better version of Kendrick Bourne. And Kendrick Bourne's better than you think. He really is. But they need weapons at wide receiver of the Jets. They're malnourished. You're going to run that system. He's that guy. He's going to be, again, he's working down the middle, running a post. Oh, he's working down the middle. You think he's running the post. Oh, no, it's a 20-yard curl route. He read the coverage on the fly. He does that. Oh, it's a 20-yard play action. He's running the post. Oh, no, he stuck his foot in the ground. He ran a post corner, and he does that. So Corey Davis, a really good route runner. And then on top of that, like Nelson Agholor and Kendrick Bourne, it's still not just about routes. There is big playability. Corey Davis has he caught a 70-yard touchdown pass last year and a few other big plays. I do. I love and I don't know, both Davis signings for the Jets, because they got Jarrad Davis, a middle linebacker.
Right. Yep.
That was killer. Again, they need a guy at the middle of that Seattle scheme that can fly around and knock people's heads off and have no regard for their body. That's what Jarrad Davis is. So that's where I look at the Jets. I mean, we talk about the Pats winning day one. I think the Jets are probably the team I look at to go, I like what they did a lot too, and they win day two. I mean, they're second in day one.
And more loaded with draft picks than any other team too. So a lot of Jets fans around here. A lot of reason for optimism. Side note here, if you're Ryan Tannehill this morning, how you feeling? John, tight end's gone.
Yeah.
Davis is gone.
Right. Offensive coordinator's gone. He's the new head coach of the Falcons.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, yes. But they got Derrick Henry
Life
and
in
A.J.
the big
Brown.
leagues, yeah.
Some other good tight ends to go along with it, and a decent O-line. So
maybe Bud Dupree can play tight end as well.
Well, he's going to go, well, maybe we can sack the quarterback this year and do some of that too and get me the ball back. Yeah.
Staying with wide receivers, some big names still out there. And the question is, why the weight on everybody else? Kenny Golladay, JuJu Smith-Schuster, Curtis Samuel come to mind.
Yeah, well, to me, it goes back to the reduced salary cap, smart signing conversation. Teams are feeling this out a little bit, and those are guys that I think are looking to be monster paydays. That's the big thing there. So that's where, again, we're at a lesser salary cap at 182.5 or whatever they expect it to be. You got to remember, and Florio's made this point, I think he's spot on. Most teams planned for, it's less than what it was last year, but they were planning for the growth of what it should have been if the pandemic didn't hit. So you're really getting around it's $25 to $30 million less than what teams expected the 2021 cap to be. So that plays into it. So teams aren't just going to go, oh, Kenny Golladay is the top free agent in the market. Well, we got all this huge salary cap number this year. We'll be okay. Let's throw him $18 million a year. No, you've been hurt. You played 6 games last year. There's been other injury moments. So I think that gives teams trepidation with that kind of money he's asking for. And the same thing with JuJu. I think he's probably asking for low-level, big-time number 1 money or something like that. So I think you just saw teams right away just go, wait, we're going to fill our needs with players we like that also have economic value instead of going, wait, let's get one guy and oh crap. Now, wait, we had 3 other spots we wanted to fill, but man, we gave Golladay or JuJu all that money, and how are we going to do this now? And I think you're seeing teams take the other approach this year because of the tight squeeze they're in.
Don't you think once their numbers, if it goes this way, of those top 3 guys, a couple days go by, nobody offers them the big-time money they want. Once their ask goes down, let's say 20%, they would be in high demand, all 3 of them, right?
I would think so. There's no doubt. I mean, they're all good players. They definitely are. But, it's going to be about what that number they're asking for, really is. And, a guy let's just say.
What would that number be for Golladay?
I would think Golladay is probably asking for something in that $18, $19 million a year range.
What would it have to come down to where if you're a GM, you say, that's awesome. That's a deal that I want?
I think probably 15 or 16.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they're probably going to look at it.
It's not that much of a drop.
It's not a huge drop, but, when you get down to 15 or 16 as compared to 18, that's another player or maybe 2 on your roster. So I think that's how teams look at it too. But what was the wide receiver franchise tag this year? Godwin got what, 15 and change, or was it 16 and change, something like that? I would think those are the numbers that maybe a Golladay is probably looking at, because he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be looked at as just a huge superstar, must-have, Odell Beckham Jr., Julio Jones type of free agency. He's really good, but that next level down. And then JuJu, again, it's about what he's asking for. And I would think he's asking for a little less than Golladay.
Yeah.
He's asking for what, 15, 16 a year? I think more.
Probably.
Yeah, I would think teams are probably going, I wish you would come down to 13 or 14 a year or something in that range.
A Twitter question from Ralph Del Sardo about JuJu that some people, I think in the last year, people may think this. I'm going to throw it out there.
Yeah.
Does his social media antics bother or worry you if you're going to sign him, or is that just the world we live in?
Well, no, I don't think it's going to bother teams. I think they're going to probably say something like, hey, we don't want you doing, middle of the field on the emblem before the game, TikTok dances and all of that. Everything else, I don't think they're going to have any issue with. It's just that. When it crosses over lines into business and it becomes a thing, then, it's then viewed as a distraction, which it kind of was what it became at the end of the year in Pittsburgh. It was all good when they were 11-0.
Right.
But then people made light of it, and other teams and players made comments about it. He was being headhunted. Then he dropped a few balls. Then he fumbled the ball against Cincinnati.
Bad combo.
And it all
things.
became, why? Because you were focused on TikTok before the game. Of
course.
That's why.
Yeah.
And that becomes an annoyance to a head coach. And then now where Mike Tomlin at the end of the year is going, we're going to have a discussion about that, right? He didn't care when they were 11-0, but it became a thing, and then he does have to care. So I don't think it'll affect him overall, though. He's a good guy. People like JuJu. He's got niceness in his eyes. He's a nice person, everything about him. So I don't think it's going to affect him.
Defensive backs. A couple weeks ago, I remember you speaking very well of John Johnson. Formerly of the Rams, now going to be a Brown. Top 10 safety, I think you labeled him.
I think so. I mean, top 5-ish, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that signing?
Like, must have. Like, we talked about the Browns, right? We thought maybe Levante David would go there because they need those Seattle scheme linebackers, and then they need the Seattle scheme safeties. That's the issue of their defense right now. Defensive line's in a good spot. Corners are a good spot. It's that safeties and middle linebackers. And John Johnson, like, he can do both a little bit. He's phenomenal at free safety and coverage, like you've heard me say in the back end. And he really could get up in the box and play some strong safety. Like, he's not going to be a killer, but he's going to make tackles. And I was really shocked about the price tag. I saw 3 years, $33 million. I went, oh, that's a damn good deal. I thought really he would be a guy that would maybe get $14 million a year, excuse me. But, and I don't know, his agent did say that he was offered more money, that he liked this spot the most. We always got to question that, how real that was. But either way, that was perfect, I think, for him, because they need a player like him, and really perfect for the Browns and what their scheme asks.
Interesting, zooming out a little bit and looking at the Browns' free agency behavior the last 5 years. And it's a pretty good statement about how they're being led right now, different kind of leadership, and where they are with their roster, that they're not the giant splash, hey, look at what we're doing kind of players right now. This one makes a lot of sense. But not a lot of other volume coming from them the last day.
No, they don't. You break them down. They don't need a ton of volume. They don't need much.
It's new. It's kind of a new.
I know. It's a new twist on Browns football.
Yeah.
Even last year, I mean, to your point, they went out there and they signed Jack Conklin, to good right tackle money. Austin Hooper to good tight end money. But it wasn't about the splash. They have the sizzle. They got Baker and Odell and Jarvis and the Chubbs and the Kareem Hunts. They needed some true steak now. And, they got the O-line. That's all fixed. But, no, they're a team that, again, it's not far off. I mean, it's really not. They're one of them that you just go, you keep intact and just add one or two guys. You're going to be real dangerous.
Cornerback Ronald Darby to the Broncos. Your thoughts?
Still, good football player. You can put him on an island. He can cover people. Is he shut down, locked down? No. I mean, he's not that. But, a guy that you go, hey, we're happy to have him as our number 2 corner on our football team over here. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm all for it. I like Ronald Darby. Guys like that you got to have on your football team.
Why the wait? And this is a similar question we asked about some of the receivers a couple of moments ago, but why the wait, you think, for the other corners? William Jackson, Shaquille Griffin, Richard Sherman, Patrick Peterson, Malcolm Butler, Xavier Rhodes.
Well, like the receivers, I think a few of the guys at the top are probably pricing themselves out a little bit, which would be like the William Jackson guy who I would look at there. Like the receivers, like the A.J. Greens and the T.Y. Hiltons and the Patrick Petersons and the Richard Shermans, these aren't guys that, again, are going to be top priorities for teams. They're not going to be like, oh, we got to have the 12-year wide receiver on our football team or the 10th-year corner. Right now, this second. No. So one, there's not going to be that hey, we got to get this done right now from the football teams. And two, for guys like Sherman and Patrick Peterson and A.J., they're going to see how the things shake out a little bit. How does the market play out? Ooh, what did these teams do to address wide receiver? Okay, now let me recalculate and see what teams need receivers as we go on through free agency. So I think that's the big thing, again, more than anything. And, DB, there's less top-end guys on the market. Really,
right.
The only guy that I look at to be like top-end, where I think you see big money, is William Jackson. I really do. I think the other guys, again, Richard Sherman's still real good, but it's not going to be like a wow contract. Patrick Peterson, same type of thing. Same with Shaquille Griffin and those type of players, where it's good money but not groundbreaking money. The DB class to me is headlined by Kareem Jackson, and yeah, I think it's the same conversation as the receivers.
Got to get in one question here under the title of Robin Hood signings.
Yeah.
Addy M27, can you go over some of the players that got signed that weren't mentioned on the last podcast that you think were sneaky good additions?
Oh, well, let's see. I'd go with the Titans with the Nico Autry.
Okay.
Right? That would be one that would pop out to me. Again, a defense that needed difference makers up front. Autry is DN, D-tackle, disruptive. So he's going to add to their pass rush and their disruption that they did not have. I think that's a really good one. Samson Ekubom for the 49ers. They got him from the Rams. He'd be a guy I'd look at to go, that's a good signing by them. They need a little more depth on the edge. He can play defense and a little stand-up outside linebacker. He's built like a Greek god. I would go, that's a nice depth signing to their football team. Not going to be like, wow, oh my gosh, what a free agent they got. You're going to be a lot of just through the year, you're going to go, that's a nice play by that guy. Oh, that guy's a good player. Okay.
Gotta have guys like that.
Gotta have guys like that, right? So that would be some that I look at. Roy Robertson Harris for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their defense, what they do. Again, he can play D-tackle, move out to defensive end in certain things. I love those kind of guys. So that would be another guy I would throw out there as far as Jacksonville. Good job. Them actually, too. Rayshawn Jenkins, the safety from the Chargers they got. He's a heat-seeking missile, this kid. He really is. He looks to knock your head off as a strong safety. So not huge money, but good money. I think that's a guy that probably jumps out to me. I think that would probably be the ones more or less that were special to me.
Yeah.
Here's another thought that I heard a lot of people. Darius Williams got the high tender for the Los Angeles Rams, which means they had to pay him, I think it ended up being like 3-point-something million total, where I know a lot of people, and Florio and I talked about this, where they went, if they second round tendered him, it would have saved them $1.5 million. And it's very rare teams,
So 4.8, Pete?
So it would have been three for the second round tender. And, it's rare that a team goes, oh, okay, we're going to offer that guy, and now, of course, give up a second round pick, to sign that guy to a contract. It is rare. But I think the Rams looked at it and probably went, wait, this guy's a starting corner in the NFL. We think he's really good, right? We think he's really good, and we don't even want to entice anybody to think about stealing him or anything like that. Plus, we don't have a lot of depth on our team anyways or in the secondary. They're going to be drafting people again this year looking for that. So I think they just went, screw it. We'll pay 4.8 for a guy we really like, and we don't have to stress that somebody's going to come in and try to steal him from us. Yeah, probably not. For a second round, probably nobody would have. But maybe they've had some, information or inklings of teams that did like him a lot, and they just didn't want to risk that.
Sounds like good business.
To me, it does. I know people are going to look at it and go, oh, they could have $1.5 million more. All right. Well, what they did is go, wait, for $1.5 million more, we're going to secure our starting corner who makes a lot of game-changing type of plays.
Right. That's every position.
We hit it all?
That's the whole thing. And I think, kind of driving in here to work today, my number one thought was I was so undersold leading up to it. Like, it's not going to be that much, not going to be a real fun free agency frenzy this year because of the smaller cap and all that.
Right.
Wait till next year. It's a great day of signings. A lot of good stories, a lot of big names.
Yeah, some surprises. I mean, nobody would have said the Patriots were going to do that, right?
I know.
There's no way. You know, you look at them. Of course, what the Jets did, as we talked about. I think,
the Buccaneers keeping people.
And some marquee names. You know, that's the other thing. And I think the biggest thing is what you've alluded to a few times. Just some of the most marquee names. There was no movement or no rumors at all with those guys. So we'll see where that goes. It's gonna be a weird year for those guys because they're all gonna look at it. Some of these top end receivers and DBs are gonna look at it and go, wait, this guy last year got signed for this much. I'm just as good or better, and it's a year later, so I should make a little bit more, right? And teams are going to go, no, not necessarily this year. We got a lot of work to do with our salary cap. We got issues.
Right.
You know, the market didn't go up for these guys. And I think you're going to have a few players who are going to have to kind of sit back and wait and start to realize the facts of the matter that they're not going to get exactly what they want this year.
And so we're on, I mean, this is Tuesday, which is different than on Monday, and I think we're on Thursday
We're going to fill it a few days. Yeah, we're going to Thursday podcast it. I would think we're going to see a lot more action here in like the Wave 2 signings
Golladay
today,
and
tomorrow.
Samuel probably be somewhere. I hope
I would
we're talking
say,
about
I know.
that.
I'm going to say like a guy like Samuel might go before Golladay.
Okay.
I think Golladay, I can see him kind of digging his feet in a little bit, going, wait, I want my money. I want my $18 million a year or something like that. Same with JuJu. I'm interested to see where that goes too.
Me too.
Yes, definitely. But we'll be all over it. We're going to keeping track here. Chris Sims Unbuttoned, Paulie Burmeister, you the man.
Good
Thanks
to
for
see
driving
you.
the ship.
You
The
got
guy has got, I mean, the guy's hosting sailing shows till 1:30 in the morning, and then he comes here. Now, he looks like he just got off the boat, the sailing boat.
It's a bit of a sailing getup.
That's all
with
right.
The white shoes.
It looks good.
I don't have any Sperry topsiders, though. So
Okay, good. Please.
I'm drawing the line there.
Thank you. Draw that line, okay?
okay.
Please, we don't need docksiders here. No docksiders allowed on my
You live in
podcast
Greenwich,
set.
man. Come on.
Yeah, well, they're not allowed on this set either. All right, we'll keep you up to date. Any questions about free agency, the draft, the quarterback stuff still, I'm done with wide receivers. I'm moving on to other positions. So we're going to get all into it and hopefully have all your answers that you need. Peace out. See you Thursday.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.